Have you ever wondered if the stories we tell, the myths and legends, might have a kernel of truth buried in them? Or what if the truth is even stranger than the tales? That's the question I found myself asking on mission number 14, a routine patrol near the edge of the Cerulean Nebula. I'd always believed that Santa Claus was just a cheerful myth, a story to make kids smile. But that was before I discovered the truth, before I caught him, or rather it, in the act. Yes, you heard that right. Santa Claus isn't a jolly old man with a sleigh and reindeer. He's, or rather, they're, something far more alien. And the reason they've been sneaking into our world for centuries might just blow your mind. What if I told you that the gifts, the sleigh, the reindeer, it's all a cover? That what's been visiting Earth every Christmas Eve is something out of this galaxy? Would you believe me? I was deep in the outer reaches of the Cerulean Nebula, cruising through the endless expanse of cold, star-speckled space. Mission Nerf 14 was supposed to be a routine patrol, just another check-in on the edges of charted territory. The kind of mission that left plenty of time for coffee and stargazing. But then, the signal came. It started as a faint blip, so soft I almost missed it. Ada, my onboard AI, was the first to notice. Captain Rogers. Her voice chimed in that ever-efficient tone. I've detected an anomalous transmission. Origin unknown. I straightened in my chair, suddenly alert. Define anomalous. Ada projected the signal on the main console. It was rhythmic, almost musical, with faint echoes that sent a chill down my spine. As it repeated, I realized something uncanny. The pattern wasn't random. Captain, this transmission contains harmonic structures identical to recordings associated with Earth's jingle bells, Ada said. Her tone was skeptical but undeniably curious. I chuckled. Jingle bells? In deep space? You sure it's not interference? The probability of interference is negligible, Ada replied. The signal's precision suggests intent. Shall I triangulate the source? I hesitated. A jingle in space? It sounded ridiculous, but curiosity got the better of me. Do it. As Ada worked, I stared out the viewport. The Cerulean Nebula stretched endlessly before me, its swirling clouds of blue and silver a stark contrast to the inky void beyond. It was beautiful but isolating, a reminder of just how small I was in the grand scheme of the universe. Source located, Ada announced, breaking my reverie. A small planetoid on the edge of the nebula. Let's have a look, I said, setting a course. If you were in my shoes, chasing a signal that sounded like a Christmas carol in the depths of space, what would you think? Would you dismiss it, or would you follow the trail, just to see where it led? The closer I got to the planetoid, the stranger things became. The signal grew stronger, its rhythmic jingles accompanied by faint pulses of light visible even from orbit. The planetoid itself was small and icy, its surface shimmering under the distant light of the nebula's stars. Atmospheric analysis? I asked. Breathable, though extremely cold, Ada replied. Unusual for a planetoid of this size. Life signs? Hundreds, concentrated in a small area. Their energy signatures suggest advanced technology. I leaned back, processing this. All right, Ada, let's go say hello. As my ship descended, the true scale of the mystery revealed itself. The planetoid wasn't barren. It was dotted with small domes, each emitting a faint, warm glow. They were clustered around a larger central structure that pulsed with energy. The moment I landed, the sound hit me, a soft jingling like bells in the wind. I stepped out of the ship, my boots crunching on the icy surface, and adjusted my helmet to filter the freezing air. The sound grew louder as I approached the largest dome. Inside, I found something I'll never forget. The interior was unlike anything I'd seen. The walls shimmered with a strange, crystalline light, and the air was filled with the hum of machinery. Dozens of small, humanoid figures were bustling about, their elongated limbs and large eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. They moved with purpose, assembling what looked like toys, but on closer inspection, these toys were advanced devices disguised to look like earthly playthings. And then, at the center of it all, stood him. He was tall, dressed in red and white, his form broad and imposing. His face was obscured by a thick white beard, and his eyes glowed faintly, But what caught my attention wasn't his outfit or his stature. It was the air of authority he exuded, like he belonged here. "Welcome, Captain Rogers," he said, his voice deep and resonant. "We've been expecting you." If you were in my position, staring at what looked like Santa Claus in an alien workshop, what would you do? Would you run, laugh, or demand answers? The air inside the dome was warmer than I expected, tinged with the faint smell of ozone and something sweet, like cinnamon. It made the surreal sight before me even stranger. Rows of conveyor belts stretched out, each carrying intricately crafted toys that looked like Earth-made gadgets, dolls, train sets, and even old-fashioned wind-up robots. Only these weren't ordinary playthings. They emitted faint, otherworldly glows, and their inner workings hummed with advanced technology. And then there was the figure in red. He stood tall, his red and white outfit unmistakably familiar. But the glowing eyes and faint hum of his presence reminded me that this wasn't a jolly man from the North Pole. "You're Santa Claus," I said, half laughing, half incredulous. The figure chuckled, a low, resonant sound that seemed to vibrate through the air. "That is what you call me," he said, "but I am known by many names across the stars. On your world, I adopted the guise of Saint Nicholas to fulfill my mission." "Mission?" I asked, my hand instinctively resting on my sidearm. "What mission?" "To spread hope," he replied, gesturing toward the bustling workshop around him. "Your species is young, fragile, yet bursting with potential. We have watched over your kind for centuries, planting seeds of joy and inspiration through these small gifts." I stared at him, dumbfounded. "You're saying Santa Claus is an alien?" "Alien to you, perhaps," he said, his glowing eyes narrowing. "But we are caretakers, Captain Rogers. We have guided countless civilizations across the galaxy, fostering their growth and unity through subtle interventions." "Caretakers," I repeated, my skepticism mounting. "So what? You sneak onto planets, hand out toys, and expect that to change the course of history?" He smiled faintly. "A single act of kindness can ripple through generations. The gifts we deliver are more than trinkets. They are imbued with advanced technology designed to spark creativity, curiosity, and compassion." I looked around, my mind racing. The pieces were starting to fit together in a bizarre, unbelievable way. The stories of Santa Claus, the unexplained gifts, the jolly figure who visited Earth once a year. It was all an elaborate cover for something far more cosmic. But one question burned in my mind. Why Earth? Why us? The figure's expression darkened, and for the first time, I saw a hint of something deeper, something troubling. "Your world is on a precipice," he said. "Humanity teeters between greatness and destruction. We saw potential in your kind, but your choices will determine whether that potential is realized or wasted." If you were me, standing in a workshop full of alien elves and hearing that humanity's fate was being subtly influenced, would you feel inspired or terrified? As he spoke, one of the smaller humanoid figures approached. Its limbs were long and spindly, and its glowing eyes blinked rapidly as it handed a device to the figure in red. He examined it briefly before turning back to me. "Allow me to show you," he said, holding the device out. It resembled a snow globe, but its interior swirled with holographic projections. Scenes of children receiving gifts, their faces lighting up with joy, followed by flashes of their futures. An inventor designing a revolutionary engine, a doctor saving lives, an artist inspiring millions. "This is what we do," he said, his voice softening. "We plant the seeds. The rest is up to you." I stared at the swirling images, a knot forming in my stomach. "And if we fail?" I asked. He hesitated. "Then our work ends, and your world joins the countless others lost to the void." The weight of his words hung heavy in the air. I had come here expecting answers, maybe even a laugh, but what I'd found was something far more unsettling. The realization that humanity's future wasn't entirely its own. What do you think? Are we really capable of greatness, or are we destined to make the same mistakes over and over again? And what would you ask an alien Santa Claus if you had the chance? The figure in red, Santa, or whatever alien entity he truly was, stood before me, his glowing eyes unwavering. His words lingered in my mind, a heavy weight pressing against my understanding of reality. Lost to the void? I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. What does that even mean? He sighed, an almost human gesture, and gestured for me to follow. Come with me, Captain Rogers. There is much you must see. The jingling sound of the alien elves working filled the air as we walked deeper into the main dome. The interior was a labyrinth of advanced machinery and holographic displays. The air shimmered faintly with a golden glow, and the hum of energy vibrated through my boots. Centuries ago, he began, your world was on the brink of collapse. War, greed, and fear dominated your societies. We intervened subtly, introducing symbols of hope to unify your kind. Symbols like Santa Claus? I asked. Precisely, he said, nodding. The story of St. Nicholas existed, yes, but we amplified it, reshaping it into a myth that transcended cultures, a universal figure of generosity and joy. But why the secrecy? I pressed. If you wanted to help, why not just show yourselves? He stopped walking and turned to face me. Would you have accepted us? Even now, standing here, knowing what you know, you question our motives. I opened my mouth to respond but stopped short. He had a point. If you were in my position, would you trust an alien who claimed to be helping humanity? Or would you question what they might gain from it? We entered a chamber unlike anything I'd ever seen. At its center was a massive glowing orb, suspended in midair and pulsing with faint waves of energy. Around it, holograms displayed scenes from Earth's history, moments of triumph, tragedy, and transformation. This, he said, gesturing to the orb, is the Nexus. It allows us to monitor the emotional and intellectual evolution of the civilizations we assist. I stepped closer, my eyes drawn to the swirling images within the Nexus. I saw scenes of children opening gifts on Christmas morning, their laughter rippling outward like waves of light. But there were darker images too. War zones, protests, and environmental devastation. Our influence is not absolute, he said, his voice heavy with regret. We can guide, but we cannot control. The choices remain yours. My gaze lingered on an image of a young girl clutching a stuffed bear, tears streaming down her face as she hugged it tightly. The bear glowed faintly, a subtle piece of alien tech, its purpose unclear. What's in the gifts? I asked. They're not just toys, are they? No, he admitted. Each gift is tailored to its recipient, designed to ignite specific traits: creativity, compassion, resilience. They are catalysts, nothing more. The potential was always within your kind. I shook my head, trying to wrap my mind around the enormity of what he was saying. You're playing with us, I said, my voice rising, manipulating us like puppets. We do not control, he said firmly. We inspire. There is a difference. Do you think inspiration can be given, or does it have to come from within? And where do you draw the line between guidance and manipulation? As I stood there grappling with the implications of his words, an alarm blared through the dome. The glowing orb pulsed rapidly, its holograms flickering. What's happening? I asked, instinctively reaching for my sidearm. Your world's defense systems, he said, his tone grim. They've detected our energy signature. They see us as a threat. On the Nexus, I saw a fleet of Earth ships converging on the planetoid. Their weapons powered up, their intentions unmistakable. We have no means of retaliation, he said. We are not warriors, Captain Rogers. If they attack, we will be destroyed, and your kind will lose what little guidance we can offer. My mind raced. Earth's military had no way of understanding what was happening here. To them, this planetoid probably looked like a threat, a rogue operation in deep space, and I was the only one who could stop them. I activated my communicator. Ada, patch me through to the Earth fleet. Connection established, Ada replied. This is Captain Rogers of the Starbound Voyager, I said, my voice steady despite the chaos around me. Stand down, I repeat, stand down. The inhabitants of this planetoid are not hostile. A pause. Then a gruff voice crackled over the comm. Rogers, what the hell are you doing out here? And who are these aliens? It's complicated, I said, choosing my words carefully. But I can vouch for them. They're not a threat. In fact, they've been helping us for centuries. The silence on the other end was deafening. Then finally, "You've got 5 minutes to explain, Rogers. After that, we're opening fire." What would you say in those 5 minutes? How would you convince an armed fleet to trust an alien species claiming to be our caretakers? The weight of the fleet commander's ultimatum pressed down on me like the cold vacuum of space. I had 5 minutes to explain the inexplicable, to convince Earth's military to lower their weapons and spare a species that had spent centuries hiding in the shadows. The glowing red timer on my communicator ticked down, and the alien leader's glowing eyes studied me with calm intensity. "Captain Rogers," he said, his tone steady despite the danger, "if you fail, it will not just be our end. The seeds we've planted on your world will wither. Generations of progress will unravel." "No pressure then," I muttered, tightening my grip on the communicator. I took a deep breath and keyed the channel open. "Commander, listen to me. I know how this looks. A rogue planetoid, alien life forms, advanced technology. But I've been inside their operations. They're not a threat. They're caretakers, dedicated to helping us thrive." The reply came quickly, sharp and skeptical. "Caretakers? You expect us to believe that? What kind of help involves sneaking onto our planet and playing Santa Claus? They've been doing it for centuries," I said. "Those stories we tell about Christmas, about generosity and hope, they're rooted in what these beings have done for us. They've given us tools to inspire creativity, compassion, and progress." "Rogers," the commander interrupted, his voice hardening. "Do you have any proof? Something to back up this fairy tale?" "Proof." My eyes darted to the Nexus, its swirling holograms of Earth's history spinning in mesmerizing patterns. I turned to the alien leader. "Can we show them?" The leader nodded solemnly. "Yes, but it will require exposing the Nexus to their sensors. They will see everything. It's our only chance," I said. "AD, patch the Nexus visuals into the comm link." The dome filled with the hum of energy as the Nexus emitted a beam of light toward the orbiting fleet. Scenes of Earth's history played out in vivid detail. Children receiving gifts, their joy radiating like ripples in a pond. Those same children growing up to become inventors, doctors, leaders. The holograms shifted, showing pivotal moments of human progress, each linked to small acts of kindness and inspiration. "Do you see this, Commander?" I said, my voice urgent. "This isn't manipulation, it's guidance. They're not controlling us. They're helping us become the best versions of ourselves." For a moment, there was only silence. The timer on my communicator ticked closer to 0, and I held my breath. Finally, the commander's voice returned, softer this time. "What do they want in return?" "Nothing," I said. "They're not here to conquer or exploit us. They just want to help." Another pause. Then, "Rogers, if this is a trick, it's on your head. We're standing down, for now." The timer stopped, and I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. The alien leader placed a hand on my shoulder, his touch surprisingly warm. "You have done what few could, Captain Rogers," he said. "You have bought us time, but this peace will not last unless trust is built. What would you have done in my place? Would you have risked everything to protect an alien species, knowing the consequences if you failed?" As the Earth fleet retreated, the tension in the dome eased. The alien workers resumed their tasks, their movements less hurried but still purposeful. I turned to the leader, 100 questions buzzing in my mind. "What happens now?" I asked. "We will continue our mission," he said. "But we will be more careful. Your kind is still learning to trust the unknown." "And what about me?" I pressed. "What am I supposed to do with all of this?" He smiled faintly. "You have seen the truth, Captain. You understand the delicate balance we strive to maintain. Use that knowledge wisely. Be a voice of reason when fear and doubt cloud the path forward." He handed me a small glowing sphere, its surface swirling with faint golden light. "This is a fragment of the Nexus," he said. "It contains our history, our purpose. Share it with your people when they are ready." I stared at the sphere, its glow casting faint shadows on my hands. And if they're not ready, then protect it, he said, until they are. If you were entrusted with a secret this big, would you share it? Or would you keep it safe, knowing the world might not be ready for the truth? As I boarded my ship and prepared to leave the planetoid, I glanced back one last time. The domes shimmered in the icy light, and the faint sound of jingling bells echoed in my ears. The alien leader watched me from the entrance of the main dome, his glowing eyes unblinking. I raised a hand in a silent farewell, and he nodded in return. As my ship ascended, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held. For them, for Earth, and for the fragile alliance we'd forged in those tense, fleeting moments. Do you think humanity is ready to face the truth about the myths we hold dear? Or are there some secrets that are better left hidden for now? As my ship cruised away from the icy planetoid, the swirling expanse of the Cerulean Nebula stretched before me. The glowing sphere sat securely on my console, its faint light pulsing in rhythm with my thoughts. I couldn't shake the weight of what I had just witnessed. The truth about Santa Claus wasn't just a revelation, it was a challenge, one that demanded action. Back aboard the starbound Voyager, I leaned back in the pilot's chair, staring at the stars. ADA's soft voice broke the silence. Captain, your decision to intervene was unorthodox. Do you believe humanity will accept this truth? I hesitated, my mind replaying the alien leader's words. Not yet, Adia, I said finally. People fear what they don't understand. If we just drop this on them, it would create more chaos than hope. Then what will you do? She asked. I picked up the glowing sphere, its light casting faint patterns on my hands. We protect this knowledge until the time is right, and until then, we prepare humanity to understand. If you were me, would you hold on to this secret for the greater good, or would you share it, no matter the risks? The weeks that followed brought a strange sense of clarity. I began to see the small acts of kindness around me in a new light. The smiles exchanged between strangers, the helping hands offered in times of need. The Zarnathians weren't wrong. Humanity was capable of greatness, but it needed a spark, a push in the right direction. One day, as I sat in the observation deck of the Voyager, watching the endless expanse of space, I realized something. The myths and stories we cling to aren't just tales to entertain or comfort us. They're reflections of what we aspire to be, symbols of the potential we hold within ourselves. And maybe, just maybe, that was the Zarnathians' greatest gift. Not the toys or the tech, but the belief that even in our darkest moments, we could be something more. Do you think our myths and legends shape us? Or do they simply reflect who we already are? As I prepared for my next mission, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The glowing sphere sat on my desk, a constant reminder of the mysteries I'd uncovered and the ones still waiting out there. One night, as I drifted off to sleep, the sphere emitted a faint hum. A holographic projection flickered to life, revealing a cryptic message in the Zarnathians' flowing script. ADA translated it aloud. The Watchers are stirring. Be vigilant, Captain. The true test is yet to come. My eyes snapped open, and my heart raced. The Watchers? I didn't know who or what they were, but I knew one thing for sure. My next mission was going to make this one look like a holiday vacation. What do you think the message meant? Who are the Watchers? And are we ready for whatever's coming next? Until next time, I said, staring directly into the ship's recording lens, my voice steady with resolve. Keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the impossible, because out here, the truth is stranger than fiction. Roger's out. What mysteries should I investigate next? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and who knows, your idea might just shape my next adventure. See you in the stars.